I'm Jordan.
And I'm Rosanna.
And on this podcast, we explore how to take life off autopilot
and relentlessly pursue a life worth living together. Hello, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 5 of the Relentless Pursuit podcast, How to Be Attractive to Your Spouse.
That's a great title. My suggestion for the show was Spousal Arousal, but that got vetoed.
Well, it's kind of funny. I'm introducing, Episode 5, How to Be Attractive to Your Spouse. I mean, I feel like we could end it with simple answer, lingerie and sex. Am I right?
Yeah. So I'll have to update my lingerie collection then.
I think you will.
Okay. So that will definitely come up in the conversation, but we have a specific format for the show. First, we'll talk a little bit about what we mean by attraction, why it's important for marriage relationships, really all romantic relationships. But then Rosanna and I each did some research and came up with our separate lists of things that are potentially attractive. And then she's going to list things that she believes might make a wife attractive to a husband. And I'll actually rate and respond to those. And then we'll reverse and see what actually stands out. So by the end of the show, I'm going to have a good arsenal of things that I either am or should be doing to be more attractive.
All right. And the same goes for me, I guess, as well.
Yeah. And then you at home can play along, and you might not agree with us, but that's good. Now, then you can be thinking about, what are you looking for in a mate? And then you can have a good conversation with your significant other about how they stack up or not.
Well, and I think the reason this is important, we talk about a lot of things on the podcast, but obviously we are a married couple. We've been married 15 years, almost 16 at this point. Before that, we were together 8. I mean, albeit we were children at the time, dating at 15. The beauty in all of that is that we've grown up together as kids. We've never really had to go through like the ups and downs of dating or blind dates or swiping left or right. We've just kind of always been together. And so even if you didn't meet your spouse or your partner at 15, and you've been married a long time, like how do you keep your marriage fresh and positive? How do you keep it hot, while juggling kids and careers and goals and, suburbia? I think that there's this misunderstanding that physical appearance, is what determines attractiveness. But I think a lot of the things that we have on this list go past just, physicality.
Yeah. Although speaking of physicality, one advantage to starting to date when you're 15 is that if you like someone during that awkward phase of life, then they're only going to get better from there, right?
Well, so there's that, right? Like when I look back at pictures of like the two of us, we kind of like laugh at, what it looked like to be a teenager. Now you look at teenagers and they look like runway models, but in our age, we just looked awkward. But the other thing too is like, you're married for a long time. Over time, looks fade, hair thins, bodies change. So what else is it about us that keeps us attracted to each other and wanting to be with one another?
Yes. So that's where I wanted to start first is just like, what do we mean by attraction? And you talked about a few things. I couldn't find any resources that articulated this quite in the way I was thinking of it, but I just listed like 2 different things that we mean when we're talking about attraction to your spouse. So one I call the right now physical, almost like sexual sort of attraction. And then the other one is the I love you for the long haul sort of attraction. Like the she's mine and I'm proud of that. So they're not the same thing. And when I'm talking about attraction, I really mean both. And I think understanding both is important. And I don't think a marriage can have just one or the other.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, you're talking about us being 15. When you're 15, you're just really attracted to the opposite sex. And so, it doesn't even matter what they look like at that point. You're just so full of hormones. So it's like, when you're 39, those hormones aren't raging at the same rate.
Well, actually, I did see this in some of the things that I read in preparation for today. When adults are looking for someone to date, they tend to make a list of a couple different qualities. Some are physical qualities and some are character qualities. And what ends up happening is they say like, well, the character qualities, like, oh, he needs to be funny. That tends to be what they would say is most important to them. But when they're actually deciding whether or not they want to engage with someone, they base it off of physical qualities.
Well, I'm sure. I read something that said 44% of Americans say humor and intelligence are the most attractive traits in a partner, not appearance.
But it goes both ways. So it depends, again, like what kind of attractiveness are you talking about? So when you're thinking about someone you want to be around for a long time, then I think humor and intelligence definitely rise to the top.
Sure, but if someone really funny and intelligent sat down and you looked at him and went, not my type.
The physical attractiveness
Right.
gets you in the door too.
Right.
And so it's nice to kind of stay in the door, so to speak, once you're married as well. All right, so why is it important to a relationship? Just to hit this too, I wrote this down. I wrote down that I don't want a roommate. Right, I could be friends with someone. I could have a roommate, and there's no chemistry, or there might be friendship, but there's no heat.
Okay.
So I don't want that. I also saw this too. It limits attraction to others, right? If you're in a committed relationship, like you want to feel that magnetism towards your significant other and not towards someone else. And I also wrote down marriage longevity. I mean, it just helps you enjoy the marriage that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like when we go out, my eye is not wandering towards someone else. I think I can acknowledge if there's like a handsome guy or a beautiful woman in the room, or I can say like, oh my gosh, he's so funny. But like, I'm not attracted to that person in the same way. Like you're it for, lucky for me, you're it for me. Based on what you look like, based on who you are. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there is this balance of like knowing that what I have is like the perfect thing for me.
Sure is.
Write that down.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's more that we could say about it too, but it is important because you want to feel that chemistry. You want to feel that heat. It makes marriage so much more enjoyable. It reduces conflict.
I want to feel the heat with somebody. Sorry.
Is that a song?
Yeah. Yeah. Want to dance with somebody.
Isn't there a rule no singing on the podcast?
With somebody who loves me. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's transition into our lists here. Different things that you found that could potentially make a wife attractive to her husband. Are you going to start, though, with before you developed this list, like was there just anything in the back of your mind where like, here's the things or the thing that I thought I needed to do?
Yes, we could start with that. Because we've had this conversation before at different points in our marriage when you and I are in a committed relationship. We are married. We love each other. I would say we are attracted to each other. Like none of that is a problem. But I think sometimes what happens is we think that we need to be or do something for the other person that is going to make them more attractive to us. And we've had conversations before. You're like, yeah, that doesn't matter to me. Or like you think you're doing that and you think like that's going to like win me over, but it's actually not.
Well, right.
So, the communication and the misunderstanding of, what I thought would be attractive to you or to men in general. And I think that comes from like just maybe what I saw or was not necessarily taught, but took from like
we're kind of culturally
movies.
taught.
Yes,
yeah.
correct. From growing up, right? Because like that's really what is the biggest impact, right? Then we get married and like these are the expectations I have or what I think that men have for women. So here's the first thing, right? That looks are basically like most of it. So not only do I need to be pretty, but I should always be kind of like done up, right? Like hair and makeup. I have dark hair that, my hair should probably be like blonder, highlights, like, right? Like that there's
really?
like this ideal. Yeah. That I should be excessively thin, that I should have big boobs and a small butt. And I think really that was like the standard of beauty, like in mainstream media growing up. So I think for a long time I was, just uncomfortable with like what I looked like and like kind of like sometimes pulled back because I was like ashamed that I didn't look a certain way.
Oh, all right. So that's what you thought. And by the way, like before we get into this too,
I have a couple others.
Oh, okay. Well, hold that thought just for a moment because I wanted to say this earlier, which was that the whole reason why we're talking about this is because this actually takes work. And so sometimes we're doing the work, but maybe in the wrong direction. And so we can kind of correct course with that. But we just don't want to get too comfy in a relationship.
Yes, we all have those sweatpants that we've had since college that we don't throw away, just because they're there and they're always there. But we kind of treat them like a dirty rag. We don't wear them outside of the house,
Well, just that idea of like just not even just physical comfort, but just like assuming or taking for granted that okay, like
What you do
we have that chemistry. It does take effort to upkeep, to maintain, to engage with. So okay, so that was it. What else did you think would be on the list?
That I had to be submissive, like to all of your wants, like needs, like goals, like that, like you are in charge and I say, okay, which I think that's like a give and take. Like I understand that now, that it's not just like you get to do what you want, and that I need to speak up when I'm not on board or when we're not I'm not in agreement. And I need to tell you when you're wrong, regardless of the fallout. And then the third thing was, that I needed to be like the happy housewife. Like the house should always be clean, dinner should always be made, everything should always be like, right, kids are perfect and behaved and whatever. And you said if I came home and dinner wasn't made and the house was a mess, like sometimes I stress out over that stuff, and you're like, I'd rather just have good sex later and let the rest of it like come what may. And I was like,
there's a
really?
hierarchy. Yeah.
Like I'm busting my butt to like, create this magical kingdom that we live in, yet you're like, I'd trade that for,
Well, we'll get into some of the things too, because at the end you'll give your list, and then I'll give, maybe it's on your list, but I'll give my number one most attractive quality.
Oh boy, I can't even
I look
imagine.
for in you. Okay.
So those were kind of like those misnomers to me, that like I think all of those things do matter, but I think let dictate maybe how you felt about me.
Okay.
Over others.
Right. Yeah, and those are pretty, like I could see that in like media and popular culture, some of those being promoted. Okay, so what's on your list? What do you have? Do you have 10?
I have 10. So I looked at a few different sources. Most of these I've seen on multiple. A lot of these come from justmarriage.com. It just says ways for women to be attractive to their husbands.
Okay. All right. Should I rate these like on a scale of 1 to 10?
As I'm going, or at the end?
Yeah. I'll rate and comment as you go.
Okay. So the first one is that she be intelligent and well-read. Like being informed and able to hold a conversation with your partner is, in fact, sexy.
Yeah. I'd put that in an 8.
Like an 8 out of 10. Pretty important.
Yeah. I don't have to say, I wouldn't say well-read. I mean, that goes along with intelligence, but it's generally intelligent.
Okay. 2 is hygiene required. Not necessarily like about your like physique and what you look like, but more about how you take care of yourself. So like, are you groomed? Do you smell nice? What are you wearing? If as a woman you look good, then you feel good. And when you feel good, you're confident. And when you feel and look confident, then you're attractive to your spouse and the opposite sex. So, there are days when you come in and like I have hair and makeup done and I look cute and and then there are days you come home and I am still in sweatpants. I have worked out, but I look gross. And I know it's a mixed bag when you're married. You see it all.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'd say that's a solid 4 for me.
Okay.
Right. I mean, when you look good, you definitely look good. But to me, you always look like you.
Okay. Number 3 is don't be clingy. Allow your partner to have time and space to pursue their own interests or go out with like their own friends. So like a man wants some space. And so like if you're really clingy and they can't do anything without you, like that's makes you less attractive.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think you've ever been clingy. I don't even know how to rate that.
Ugh, I feel like when we were young, I was clingy.
Yeah, but we were both clingy.
That's true.
It worked.
Number 4, show interest in your partner's activities. My interest and yours won't always align, but that doesn't mean I can't show interest or support what you like or what you're interested in.
Support is different than interest. Like I don't plan on like I wouldn't care if you like watch jujitsu videos and then we're talking to me about a certain technique like that is uninteresting to me. But the fact that you like support when I want to go or engage in that,
sure. But when I ask you about it, like, how was it? Yeah. Like what happened?
If I tell you something about it, like at least hearing me out on that. So I guess the support is very important. I'd say that's an 8.
Right. You don't need me to take up your interest.
But the interest is 3.
I think, but I have to care enough about you to even just ask.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do ask and then I regret that, but that's my own fault. Number 5, be spontaneous. Put effort into making your relationship more interesting. Surprises are a great way to keep things from getting stale.
Yeah. I don't know how attractive that makes you, though, by being spontaneous. I put that at a 4.
Okay.
I mean, it's fun for the relationship, but I don't know if that increases my attractiveness to you.
Okay. What about kind words? Compliment your partner, not just on looks, but on who they are and what they stand for. Are you a words guy?
Yeah. Is this a list of how to be attractive or just like how to have a good relationship?
It says ways for women to be attractive to their husband.
Yeah. I mean, I like kind words. It's a 5.
Okay. Don't be demanding. Does being
I like how there's some
your
do
partner
nots on this list.
come with a list of demands and rules? Like that can feel like a burden to some men, and it's very unattractive. Like be responsible for it kind of feeds into number 8, which is like be responsible for your own happiness. Like your partner's not going to solve all your problems. They're not going to be your end all be all. Like you have to have other things in your life that make you happy because your partner is.
It goes along with being clingy. But
Yeah.
And maybe that's a whole nother relationship too, is if someone's in a relationship and they feel like they do have like needs or just things need to get done and they keep asking and then it doesn't get done.
I think that's like a different character. I mean,
Right.
that's different, but it's attractive.
Right, you don't want to come off as demanding.
Attractive when you're like independent and you can solve some of your own problems. Like I'm not going to go nail that sign in the wall later. You're going to do that for me, and like because you're more inclined to do that. Just like I'm going to make dinner for the kids, but it's a little bit of give and take. But it's like you have to be responsible for making yourself happy. No one can do that for you. Mm-hmm. Number 9, initiate romance.
Yeah. Yeah,
like it doesn't always have to be on the guy. Like guys
I'll give that a 9er.
A 9er. And then
what do you mean by romance, though? That's a big pool to swim in. I'll just everything.
We'll just do it.
Whatever you're thinking of. That we'll mark.
That's
it as
exactly
a 9.
what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a couple of things.
Okay.
Like yesterday. Learn to communicate openly is number 10. Don't make your partner guess at what you want or hold it against them when they don't know. Like that's a surefire way to like kill the romance, kill the spontaneity, kill the happiness in a relationship. Like you have to be able to communicate openly with your spouse and let them know what you need. Mm-hmm. I saw some others like floating around on different sources, which like included be positive and affirming. Like it's not sexy to be a downer Debbie.
No, it's not. I don't like hanging around anyone who's too much of a downer.
Or combative, like they're always picking a fight.
Yeah, there's some people are like militant or drama. Like any of those things are.
I know for you, it's like this has come up in our marriage before. And it just says like changing your tone, like the way you talk to someone can really like affect like your relationship, and so changing your tone, making your spouse a priority, increasing your flirt factor. Right? Like when we were young, we're like so flirty. Even a friend of mine said like, you have a flirty personality. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, you do. Like, I don't think you know that. Like, you're like cheeky and, sarcastic. And you're like, people are drawn to that. She's like, that's why like you get along well with a lot of people. But then I was thinking like, how often do I flirt with you?
Yeah, but when you're married for a long time, then it's different.
It
You've
wears
got to keep
off.
up with it.
Yeah.
It is, because then like something that maybe used to be flirty, like when you're younger, maybe like make fun or tease each other a little bit. But once you're married, you're like, stop it! Why are you being rude today?
Don't be a dick.
Right. So we've got to evolve. That'll be another episode. Top ways to flirt with your spouse.
But I think that was one of the ones that was like on my radar. I'm like, yeah, how often do we flirt?
Yeah.
Like where is the witty banter? Where is some of that, like, tongue in cheek chat? So those were just some others.
Okay. All right. Yes. Some of those are just like good relationship advice. I don't know if it necessarily is like directly related to attraction.
Well, I was, what do you want my list to say? Like walk around in your lingerie. Like, I mean, we got 4 kids.
So let's go, since you brought it up, let's get to Jordan's number 1, thing here. So actually, there's a couple things with this. I'll just sum it all up. What to me makes the most attractive spouse? I'd say someone who is intelligent, happy, confident, and has a nice ass.
Check, check, check.
You check all those boxes, babe.
And check. Yeah, there you go. According to you.
Yeah, according to me.
According
That's
to
all
you.
that matters, right?
That's all that matters.
So like we already mentioned intelligence. We already mentioned like having a generally positive disposition, right? You're fun around. But sometimes like talk about turn offs. Like when I come home and if it's like just the witching hour and the kids and the dog are going nuts and you've kind of reached your wit's end and you've made dinner and nobody's eating it and you get this scowl across your face and you even hear me say something. I'm like, babe, like chill out, like relax. And it's easier for me to say, but
Because then when he's home all day and I get home and he's made dinner, no one's eating, I have to look at him and say,
Right.
babe, chill out, relax.
Right. But that's, immediate. It's like, just go away. Like, I'm not interested in hanging out around with you right now. Confident, especially I see that with your business, especially. But that's just seeing you like drive towards your thing and have competence with that and everything. And I cannot represent the male faction without bringing attention to physicality. Like it just matters. Like how you look matters. I actually read, there's a study, they had to study this.
Well, of course they studied
In the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Did you know that, now there's a much more professorial way of saying this, but to sum it all up, their conclusion was that men care about looks more than women do. I'm glad that they studied that.
How many hours did they spend on this?
But they also said that in a survey of about 1,000 couples, about 50%, and they just said of couples, so I don't know if this was men or women, struggle with physical attraction to their spouse. And I thought that was a really high number.
I mean, yeah, you're my type. Like we talk about everybody has like a type, like you're my type. So like I pick something that I'm attracted to because that's my type. Like
Sure. But especially like over the years, right, as you age, as you just change as a person, like, at a certain point, remember the phrase, like sometimes we let ourselves go. It could be physically, it could be in like other ways as well. But I think that's just one thing not to do. One thing to be wary of is like, well, first of all, it's just good to maintain health and fitness. But am I doing that at least in part with an eye towards like being, physically attractive to my spouse?
okay.
And that matters, according to this, at least more to men than like the way a wife looks matters more to the husband than the way the husband looks matters to the wife.
Oh, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
There's a lot we could talk about even just with that like nuance,
Yeah. But I've told you, like, I like to look at you. And it doesn't matter, like, if you sometimes you think those sweatpants can disguise it, but no, I'm still looking.
All right. Now that I'm embarrassed, what's next?
Oh, okay, so I have my list here.
Okay.
Ways to be attractive as a man. Here's what I thought would be on the list.
Okay.
All right. And
That would matter to me.
here's what the things I thought would matter to you.
Okay.
Or to a wife in general.
Okay.
I just wrote down 3 things. 3 very, again, like sort of media inspired, culturally inspired, traditionally masculine attributes.
Okay.
I wrote down money, muscles, and influence.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So be honest, this isn't on my actual list, but like would you look at someone and you have one opinion of them, but then you found out that they're like just loaded? Does that change your opinion of them? Does that increase their attractiveness?
You know what? I don't know if it increases their attractiveness because I've met plenty of people who have a lot of money and they're jerks. So like being a jerk isn't attractive. Doesn't matter how much money you have.
Okay, so let's just say you have like a typical nice guy.
Okay.
And then, you just have like a normal congenial interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a week later, someone's like, oh yeah, they got millions.
Hey.
Right. It doesn't, I think that changes the perspective.
Well, I don't think it changes the perspective. You are a nice guy, but you're like a nice guy and you have a lot of money. Like, yay for me. Right? Like I can only benefit from that. I mean, I say that.
Well, yeah, it doesn't do you any good now.
I say that, but I remember this was, and I've probably mentioned it on the podcast before, like, I was younger. I don't even know that we were dating. Maybe we were like even engaged at the time. And I remember like having this funny conversation with my parents. This must have been like while we were dating, way before we were engaged. And I told my mom, I'm not going to marry for love. I'm going to marry for money. I said, it just makes life a whole lot easier. You can have everything you want. You don't have to worry about it. And of course, my mom is just, just the nicest person in the world. And she's like, I know the kind of person that you are, and you would never marry someone for money. Whoever you marry is going to be because you love them. And she goes, and I have a feeling that they're not going to have a lot of money. Like, you're not going to love him and he's going to have a lot of money. Like, you would prefer to be with someone of integrity and of quality over, like, what they make.
Yeah. So, what's funny, and I think I just sense that would make a difference for female. Like, if you told me, like, a woman is nice and attractive, but then a week later I found out that she had a lot of money, I don't think that would change my opinion of her. And so in the same way, I feel like that matters more to a woman than to a man.
So, and I think there is something to it in terms of like stability, I think is maybe the word. And like, there is this notion that, I think more and more like women are like, I don't need a man to provide for me. I can provide for myself. I don't think that's how it used to be, right? You'd go to college to find your husband, right? Get a degree while you're there. If things don't work out with a guy, well, then you can, right? You can work and support yourself. But like, right, it was kind of like to meet a man. But there is the sense of stability. I remember another mom, and this was a few years ago, like at school, we were talking about our husbands, and she was, going through a hard time, and she was like, she's just telling me about what they were going through. And, she's like, I know you can't relate. She's like, I see your husband, like he's educated. He's well-read. He's intelligent. He's like pursuing his passion. She's like, that's sexy as hell. And that was like in comparison to, who she was married to, and that he did not have like a drive or a passion, wasn't educated, like did not want to pursue. And I guess to me, like, I had never thought about you being attractive to me in that sense. Like, you've always been like that. And that's kind of like a part of your character and your quality. And so like, being with you for 15 years and 8 years before that, it's like, you kind of forget, like, yeah, that is sexy.
That's actually what I have after I give my list, is things that we take for granted that others
100%.
might find attractive too. All right, so back to money, just briefly. Like, it's interesting because I think of that as, like just like men may be more attracted to physicality. Like, I'm just talking about like the right now kind of attraction. So I wrote down like money, muscles, and influence. Like, those are the things that might be more prone to capture a woman's attention. But like once you're married, I think these things matter less.
Maybe.
Right. I mean, having money is helpful,
sure,
but it's not going to increase your attraction to me.
No.
Right. Having muscles, well, we'll talk about that too. But like, that's kind of the image that is sold to us, right? Of you have like your sort of your hunk, your buff dude. He looks a certain way. Probably would help with marriage, maybe. But
but does it?
But I imagine going to the, like,
if those muscles don't do anything around the house, and right, you look good when you're at the pool or when you're at the beach or when you're on your honeymoon.
So it's more like immediate attraction.
Correct.
And same thing, and you can let me know about this too. But by influence, I mean like someone who has like either a particular job, or they're making important decisions, or like they have people under them, or like some degree.
People under you besides me.
So weird. Like, like some degree of
right,
say in the world versus just, like clocking in and clocking out for a job or whatever the case may be. So anyways, those are the things that I thought matter, and I still kind of pursue because they certainly don't hurt. No, they don't hurt.
But like, I'm not like a big muscles girl. Like, when I see guys with like big muscles, like I'm always like,
well, like,
I think it's gross.
There's a bell curve.
When you look healthy and you look fit, I think that's hot. In the past several years, you've done like more working out, and you've like,
keep baking me brownies then too. All right.
Do not keep making me brownies. But I've seen some muscles emerge. I'm like, yeah, that's hot. That's sexy. It's like a little bit different than in the past. Like, you're always just like thin and geek chic, but like a little more muscle.
That's true. And how come, like, when it comes to money, like having money is good, but there's no, like, how come we can't say like financially responsible? Is it right? Because I feel like I do things now.
Financially responsible or cheap or doesn't like gifts. Like, there's like a fine line between it all.
Well, like, I'm like, babe, like we saved up enough, and I'm buying another rental property, and this is going to help like long term with. I feel like that does nothing for you. I feel like that is like, I
No, so like in my mind, I know that it's
It
like,
like
wow,
logically makes sense,
yes,
but it doesn't.
it logically makes sense, but it's like, yes, I'm not driving a shiny new car. Like, I don't like. I'm
No, we
not
can't
saying
afford that.
I'm not saying I'm not gonna. I don't benefit from it. Like this, having this rental property and having a couple of them, or flipping a house. Like we've done all of these things. They've been good. You know, they've been great. But like, yeah, I mean, like we just, yeah, I don't have a shiny new car, right?
Anyway. All right, that's a lot of lead up. So here's my actual list.
All right,
We'll go
here's
a
your
little
list.
quicker through these. Okay. I'm going to say you can comment on these two things: hygiene and smell.
Oh, for me,
Do you find those attractive on your husband?
yes, because I am a smell person. Some people can't smell. I bought new perfume. I had you smell it. You're like, I don't smell anything. I'm like, I bought this so that you're like smelling me and attracted to me. No, you can't smell it. But for me, smell matters.
All right, so just a quick follow up. Should I, like, on a typical weekend when we're hanging around, should I just throw on a little spritz of cologne?
You sure as shit should.
Okay. Well, you heard
We
that,
also
ladies
like
and gentlemen.
we also went from like, you know, giving you a plain, you know, bar of Dove soap to like, you know, this little ritzier brand from
So
Target.
the hygiene
that
has always
smells
been
like me.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll add the cologne to that more regularly. All right. I have this next one, dressing well.
Yes. Every morning you get dressed for work. You dress professional every day. And like you come down in the morning and I still have, you know, like stuff in my eyes and my hair is crazy. You look hot. And I'm like, we got a hot date today, you know, and you don't, and you're going to work, but it's like, that's how people see you. And I see you when you come home and, you know, throw on your sweats. So I'm always like, when we go out and you put on something nice, I'm always like, hey,
Okay.
pull up.
All right.
There we go.
Pull up. Okay. So smell and dressing well. How about this? Doing things around the house without being asked. Is that attractive?
Super attractive. It has gotten more and more attractive.
Okay. You mean I'm doing it more, or it's just increased in attractiveness?
Both.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that one takes work, so I don't.
Yeah.
I'll
Yep.
have-
Yep.
I'll
You're
have
like,
to-
well, I've showered today, so I've now
I'll have
maxed
to
out.
Put a little more effort into that area. Okay. Now here's one that talk about like work and effort. That I listed this, and I'm just going to read this to you. Just hold all thoughts until the end, okay? So number 4. Is it attractive to you if I am being physical with you without expecting sex? And I'm going to quote, this is from themodernman.com. For example, give her a neck rub, tickle her on the couch, and then spank her on the butt. Or hug her and then look her in the eyes for a relaxing 5 to 10 seconds before telling her that you love her and think she is the sexiest woman on earth. Then just get back to doing what you were doing without expecting her to want to have sex as a result of your efforts to turn her on.
How would you like me to respond?
How does that stack up for you?
Oh, that
Scale of
stacks
1
up
to 10.
super high. You know, sometimes when you're like pawing at me and like, I can't kiss you because the minute I kiss you, you're ready to throw down. Well, we can't throw down right now. So like,
Right, but how do I balance? Like, I am
you love
ready.
me
I
without
am
trying
ready
to take
throw
me
down, but
on the
how do-
counter while I'm making dinner with the kids around? You can't. So I just kind of steer clear, and then you get a little mad about it.
Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. I'll work on that.
I'm going to love you because I'm supposed to without getting anything in return. Check. I know exactly how it's going.
I'll be fine over here.
I'm fine.
All right. Next one is to be a protector and caregiver. I can define that, but just based on those words, what do you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think just as the head of the house, you do that. I mean, I've never really seen you
Am I
have to.
head of the house?
I don't know. As the man, right? Like if I hear something at night, I'm sending you down. I'm not going down.
Okay.
So yeah.
You have to call me head of the house. You can call me chief of security.
Chief of security. Love it.
All right, but I was also thinking of like just more basic things. Like it's pretty rare that we have like you need protection from a threat. But I think of just like the milder things. Like I think of finances would fall under this category, right? You are taken care
Yes.
of. Things are managed. You don't have to worry about that. If things are broken, that they get repaired. You feel secure in general.
I do. I feel safe because I trust you. I trust you to make decisions with me and for us. financially and in terms of long-term stability. And so I feel taken care of. Like there's certain things like that I don't have to worry
Or
about.
just that if something goes wrong with the hot water heater, right? You know that I can take care of that.
Yes, I know that you can call
I can call
Moss
the
Plumbing
person
and they're going to come over.
who can
Yes.
take care of that.
Perfect.
Yeah. If we mention brands, should we ask them for some kind of a discount?
Hi, I'd like to be your brand ambassador.
Yeah, we mentioned you. Now I need a hot water heater. Okay. Having character. I'm truthful, moral, an individual of integrity. How attractive is that?
It's very attractive. Might be one of the most attractive things about you, actually.
Being a good dad. Is it attractive to see me playing with the kids or doing father-like things?
So this is one of those things that I would say falls under the category of I take for granted because you've always been so good with the kids. So like you've always played with them. You've always read to them. You've always like just let them like watch you or tag along or help you. When kids want to help me, I'm like, I start to itch a little bit, but like you have the patience of a saint. And so that's one of those things that like, I saw it today and I actually took a picture of it. Like you and Roman were snuggled up and the dog was with you and like you guys kind of just fell asleep. And it was just like this tender moment that I have a picture on Instagram of.
You get to post it?
I did because it was so freaking
You're supposed
sweet.
to ask before you post.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Anyway. All right. So,
But
yes,
it
we
is
take it for
sexy,
granted.
but I take it for granted because you've always done it and you're so good at it.
Okay. What about when I know you and focus on you, such as if I have if I just like know some of your wants, like I know that sometime in the near future, she's just going to need a Kit Kat and I better have that on hand. And I have, like, if you've mentioned it, I'm like, here it is. Or other just gifts, other just recognitions, love notes, like those kinds of like not essential, but caring quasi-romantic gestures.
155% yes.
Geesh. Okay. All of you rate each question or each statement on a different system.
Yes.
So I'm having a hard time
stacking them
knowing
in place.
if there were a priority list here. I'm way off. All right. So that's good. What about when I focus on myself and I have things that I'm interested in and I prioritize and I pursue and I stick with? Is that attractive?
I would say like 5, 6.
Okay. All right. And we have to include this since it's on most women's list of what they look for in a guy. When I am positive and or humorous.
I would say, so your general disposition is positive. Everything is positive. You're always fine. Nothing bothers you. That's actually annoying, actually. Because
So should be
no
more lugubrious.
almost. It's like with some of my friends, it's like we can complain about something or commiserate. Like I can't do that with you. I can't complain or commiserate because you're just on a different wavelength. Nothing bothers you. So sometimes when you're like, what really bothered me? I'm like, oh, tell me. You understand me. We get each other. What was the other thing? Positive and
Humorous.
Lately, I have told you this, like you've just been like silly and have made me laugh in so many different ways. And I feel like I'm like, I like this, Jordan. Like it is fun and sexy. It's got that flirty air to it.
Okay. All right. I'll try to be more humorous. I'll have to buy a joke book.
When you tell me jokes, I don't laugh. It's just like when you're cheeky with me and sarcastic.
I know.
That's what I like.
Okay. All right. So what's Rosanna's number one top thing that, whether I have it or not, would be the most attractive?
So, you know me, when we go to a restaurant or when we have to pick and make decisions, I can't do it. So like, it's hard for me to just like pick one. So like,
Right, just let it out there.
okay, I think it has to do with like your character. And I don't know if the word is like integrity or stability. It's like, to me, it's like the same. Like, I have so much trust in you and so much value in like what you stand for and what you're trying to accomplish. Like, I feel secure in everything that we have. Like, I feel secure that you love me. I feel secure that like we have everything that we need. Like, it's just, you're just a man of great integrity and kind of, I love it.
The vaguest answer that, I mean, I feel complimented, but also I'm looking for like, okay, like what? I'm really going to make Rosanna just like love me. I'm going to try to ratchet it up a notch. You're getting teary-eyed over there. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Well, I think, okay, so that's, I think what like maybe I appreciate the most about you. So I mean, maybe I could give you something that's like more tangible.
Yeah. But
Okay.
also, we've talked about this on the show too, where like we do want more tangible things, but when it comes down to
I
it,
cannot articulate it.
no, but like when it comes down to like character really does matter. Like, what does it mean to be good? Like, those are some questions that we've considered. So, and here you are telling me that, and I'm being dismissive. So I apologize.
That's okay. So I think maybe that's the first thing. So then the second thing is it's kind of what you just what did you say was the last thing?
Being humorous.
No, the one before that. Sorry.
Focusing on myself.
Nope, the one before that.
Okay. Knowing you and focusing on you.
Yes. So you have made like a huge effort. I know that has like that's like one of your focuses for like 2022 is that like you really wanted to put this like effort into doing that for me. And not that I'm like underloved or undervalued or anything like that. But the way that you've been doing that in these last couple of months makes me feel like so loved, and so seen.
I think that's an important word, and that's what I'm going for here is like I think there's certain just everyday things that are lovable, but to do it's like just a little extra, like little things that it's like, all right, you intentionally took time to think of me to do something that I know that I would enjoy. Like those are the kinds of things that I'm trying to make sure happen.
Right. And you know, I've seen it phrased like this before, and we don't talk about each other in this way, like you are my king and I am your queen. Like we don't talk like that. That's just not us.
What's in Game of Thrones, like my moon and stars?
Yeah, maybe whatever. But a king always has his queen's back. Like he makes her feel beautiful, appreciated, valued, desired, and heard. And I feel like you've made more of a concentrated effort to like show me. And you know, I don't know. Not that I don't know why you're doing it or whatever, but like I have never felt so like loved and supported and appreciated for doing really the same things I've been doing for the entirety of our marriage. But like maybe it has to do with like not having these expectations. Well, yeah, like she's supposed to do that and I'm supposed to do this. And maybe it's, I think, a repositioning of like, wow, like she really does this all the time, you know, with mild complaint only. But you know, like she takes care of things or she takes care of people or this happens or I don't even have to ask or like, and for you to even just acknowledge that that's the kind of person I am or that you value those things or that you appreciate them, like for me, like goes a long way.
Okay.
And when I feel loved, you get loved.
I was going to say a king has his queen's back and the queen lets him have her back. How do you want to...
Wow. Okay, then.
Yeah. All right. So things that we might take for granted that would be attractive to someone else. We kind of listed these already, but I'll throw a few more in there too.
Okay.
Because it doesn't really come up in conversation often, but certain things that you do, like just the way that you run the house and you manage the calendar, you make sure that we have a healthy dinner together most, if not every night. Like those are things that I would genuinely miss. And I know they seem like kind of maybe mundane, but to me, like just the consistency of it, I definitely take it for granted because it's just been the way we've always operated. But I just recognizing that you do that makes, and when I think about the fact that you do those things, makes you more attractive.
Okay.
Right, because not every person does that. I think about, actually, I read this in one of the many articles. The exercise was to think about what life would be like without your spouse.
Yeah.
So I've thought about, like, what would I miss? What would I miss? And there's many things, but some of which were listed, but like just some of those basics of how you maintain family and how you and I maintain connection would be very difficult to replace.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good exercise for everybody. Mm-hmm. I just hope that when they think about that, they don't think, man, this would be a whole lot easier if
Jordan
you
and
were here.
Rosanna had I think about you being dead. Yeah. So I'm going to go do that.
And I did. And what I came up with was, well, it wouldn't be much different.
Right. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Right. You always tell me that we're planning for retirement, meaning someday the kids will be gone and the house will be empty. And the two of us will be, and maybe the dog will be the only two.
And maybe our careers will be retired. And then at the end of it, we just have each other.
And I've always said to you, and you've always said to me, I want to look at you in that moment and know you're everything that I still want and everything that I still need, and that like we're,
You're everything I want and everything.
I like when he sings a song because I don't know what it is because it's always on a different
That's a song.
melody.
Okay.
But yeah, like that when that moment comes, we're just as much in love. And it may look different and it might be different because we will be very different people then than we are now, but that we still choose and want to be together, and that you're still attractive to me, and that you're still going to be chasing me up to the bedroom.
Sure am. In my wheelchair.
Hold on. What's that thing that attaches to the stairs?
Wait, what's that? All right, another song is coming to mind. Not that we're supposed to sing on the show, but what's that? You're still the one I want. Oh,
is that
the only one that I need. Oh.
Okay. If someone can tell
Faith
me.
Hill?
There you go.
Maybe.
Shania Twain? Faith Hill? Faith Hill? I don't know. It's country.
Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of gone through this list, and as listeners, you can listen to some of the things Rosanna suggested or some of the things that I brought up, and you can rate them yourself. Some might be more important to you than they were to either of us, but the whole idea is to spur conversation with you and your significant other. But I think it comes back to the idea of work, where just about everything that I feel I listed for what makes an attractive husband requires some degree of effort. Some of them, I'm putting in the effort consistently. We don't think about it too much. But some of these are relatively, they just don't maintain themselves.
Right.
And requires some consistency with thought and with action. And I think that that's important, is to show the other person that, hey, I'm doing these things, and hopefully that makes me
But I don't want
stand
anything
out.
because of
Well,
them.
that's the one I have to work on. Yeah. That's one I have to work on. So I think on that, I don't have anything else to say, but I just wanted to emphasize, mostly to myself, that these things take time and they take effort and they take thought. But it pays off in what is hopefully a relationship with a little bit more fire.
And longevity. So thank you for listening to this week's episode. Share it with a spouse, share it with a partner, share it with a friend. Talk about it with another couple. We're going to dinner with a couple tonight. Maybe we'll bring it up.
Yeah, I think that would make interesting conversation. And that's the thing too with these, is we don't always tell people, but like most of what we talk about on the show, we're talking about not on the show with each other. And then we bring it up with other people as well, just to hear their thoughts too. So if you're listening and you're like, hey, I have thoughts, I wonder what Jordan and Rosanna think, or I need to fix some of their thinking because they left something important out, then feel free to shoot us an email or connect with us on Instagram. You can also go to therelentlesspursuitpodcast.com, subscribe to our newsletter, and if you haven't left a 5-star rating and a review on iTunes, what are you waiting for? Get yourselves over there. Thanks for listening to us this week, and we're looking forward to connecting with you again next week.
Have a great week. We just said week 3 times. But have a great week, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to today's show. We hope you will use this conversation as a starting point for your own. We hope you're encouraged to think and act more intentionally.
If you want to learn more, you can visit our website, therelentlesspursuitpodcast.com, where you can find notes on today's show, plus additional blog posts, and you can subscribe to our free members list.
Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends.
Facebook and Instagram are 2 great places to connect with us for daily doses of our quotable quotes, behind the scenes, and real-time photos, videos, and challenges.
Until next time, let us know how you are taking life off autopilot
And relentlessly pursuing what matters.